Well, you must be very pleased by that generous reception. We no longer sneer and boo at those. Yeah. Maybe we are doing something. Maybe we're growing up a little bit.
It's great to be here. We offered to have a debate with a trans critic, and we're told that no trans critic was willing to debate us.
Well, how do we start here? The chromosomes, as you know, I'm a brilliant geneticist, but please explain this for us.
Well, I'm 3 X's and a Y. I'm neither sex, biologically.
A boy is XY, a girl is XX.
Right.
I see. You're 3 X's and a Y.
Chromosomal level, everybody's either XX or XY. That turns out not to be the case. There's all these admittedly rare variants of chromosomal sex. You can have XYY, XXY, XXYY, all of these. These are complicated, and an X does not guarantee a female appearance, a Y does not guarantee a male. So there's a lot of variety at that level.
So this makes, you're in a sexual limbo then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your first surgery was in 1970-something.
74 for the gender reassignment, but I had my breasts done in 72.
So you had breast augmentation surgery, is that how we would call it?
Yeah.
This, I assume, involves castration and removing all the evidence of male genitalia.
Sounds awful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It hurts me just asking the question. That's what they do, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But it
And
wasn't.
then, I'm sorry?
It was very painful for me living as a woman, but not complete. So when I sort of looked at the operation, it was just something to sort of help me straighten me out. So it was a cosmetic. It was like having a nose job or whatever.
What else scientifically do we need to know?
Just remembering whether it's sexual identity or sexual orientation or any of these things, it is very rare that the natural world gives us totally clear-cut dichotomies. It's always messier than that, or that could be reframed as it's always more interesting than that. It's always more variable than that. As kind of a punchline for making sense of the brain stuff versus the rest of the body, transgenderism, the way people have traditionally thought about trans individuals is this is someone who for some reason thinks they're a different sex than what they actually are. What the neurobiology suggests instead is this is someone who has had the incredibly crappy luck of being handed a body that happens to be a different sex than who they actually are.
You can't get married because the sex on your birth certificate is your sex for life. Don't argue with the court in Europe. They don't want to make any changes in this.
That's right.
I'm going on vacation with my in-laws in October, and they were like, what's the gender marker? Because we've got to do this flight stuff. And I changed my gender marker to M, but I said to her, I was like, could you imagine? There's a lot of trans people that still live like that. They haven't, whether they don't have the money to change it because it costs money, or they just don't want to go through the bureaucracy, or literally they are from a state in the US where it is illegal to change your gender marker, because there are states like that. If you're born one way, that's it. There's no changing. I want to just be passing, and I don't want to have to answer questions, and I want to feel safe.
And she has taken this to the European Court of Human Rights, and you got married anyway. You married an Italian count.
No, I married a Jewish gentleman.
So you were properly married within the Jewish faith, and then you went on your honeymoon, and when you got back, his folks found out.
Well, it was front page in one of the tabloids, and he went home, and I never saw him from that day.
What we think of as biological sex coming in 2 flavors and only 2 flavors is a lot more complicated than that and a lot more multifaceted.
What are some examples of ways that it's not dichotomous?
Chromosomes to gonads to all of that. Are you going to wind up having a penis or a vagina? And that seems very straightforward. And it's not so straightforward. And there's this whole world of intersexuality out there, which winds up being a debate. Are we talking about disease, or are we talking about natural variation, which in a lot of ways is what it's about?
I heard you use the word disease, disorder, syndrome. Are those some words maybe we need to move away from? What are your thoughts on the terminology around these conditions? Or
a fantastic question. Who gets to decide what's normal and how much variation is there around it, and what counts as like normal human variability versus a disease, and who decides if this is it? Yeah, this is like a perpetual massive challenge in the field. And often what it revolves around is, well, just how prevalent is this? How many people are there out there? And this is where an astonishing factoid comes in. Walk past the maternity ward, and the odds that a child has been born there with sexually ambiguous genitalia is greater than the odds that walking around your town, you've walked past someone with an IQ of 140 or higher. Is having an IQ of 141 a disease? No, it's just a very rare version of normal human variability.
Let me show you the pictures here. Just a couple of here at the top here. Here's in infancy. That's Barry with his sister. Here's Barry with his family. Here is Barry at age 17. Barry is now Caroline Kasi. Her nickname is Tula.
Right.
For me, it's about showing compassion and love to fellow human beings, making sure we're not causing harm first, but also creating cultures and environments where all people feel welcome and safe. And I thought it would be really helpful because I think people have they understand in this culture war kind of where they stand on it, but we don't have a lot of deep scientific understanding of what it means to be trans and the neurobiology that impacts us as human beings in terms of how we identify